how do I, as a business owner, prepare for tariffs? I'm a global business owner, I'm an investor. How do I prepare and what should I expect?
I completely agree with you that we're facing more of a broad reworking in how the economy works. And frankly, no one knows at this point if this new way of thinking, or this experiment, if you will be successful, if it's a really great way forward, or if it's something that's not really going to work. What we do know is that we're at that transition point right now. We're at that moment of peak policy uncertainty, really intense volatility. How do you navigate this transition point, given that no one can have a credible outlook for 12 months from now? No one can have a credible outlook for 2 years from now, because that confidence interval, or that range of potential policies, is just too big. As investors on my end, or business owners in terms of the audience conversation today, we do know a few things. We need to focus on what we know. One of those things is that we expect the tariff rate to be significantly higher than it has been at any point in the last 100 years. And that includes expectations for negotiations with trade partners. It even includes an expectation that the US and China will have to come to the table at some point. As investors in my world, we're having to look at ways to build resilience, to reconsider diversification. And frankly, there are a lot of US investors specifically that need to come back to that diversification conversation. We also, though, need to remember that there has been a big, bright, shiny spotlight on tariffs recently, for obvious reasons, but there's a bigger policy shift going on. And frankly, the attention to tariffs that's been happening might shift overall. One example is that there's a tax bill going through Congress right now to potentially extend the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. In other words, the Trump tax cuts, right? Those are potentially a boon to the market, potentially a boon to the consumer. We also see expectations for greater deregulation, which could also be more favorable to the markets. We just need to keep in mind that in this transition point, volatility is going to work in both directions. And that means that we need to consider how to build ballast against that across the entirety of an investment portfolio, at least considering things from my world, which is one of investments.